there's something very human about it, like just like a kind of celebration of, I don't know.
When everyone's kind of at the same level, I think, like of like drunkenness or whatever, there's no one that's like taking themselves too serious.
It's also really nice when you have some nights where you're just you and your friends or whatever, but what's really great is when it's a crowd that want to socialise with everyone else.
Yeah.
And then you suddenly have a new best friend for a night, and then they're gone, but it's great because it's like, and you always remember them. Like we have so many little one-time people that we still talk about now.
Yeah, I think it's important because I don't know, I think it's kind of like therapeutic, like the exercise of just like dancing, you know, like I don't know. I think because also there's like so much drug culture around it. That almost takes away from like what it is, you know.
I think it's just the complete freedom of it.
Yeah.
You're not really in any kind of like, people don't expect much of you. In fact, they almost expect you to act in ridiculous ways because everybody's drinking or whatever, and so you can never do something that's too off the wall.
I feel like you kind of enter this like different dimension, almost like this safe space, but it's not just safe, but it's like this other space,
and it's like you kind of just forget everything else, like the worries and stress, but all just sort of not so like.
It was amazing because it was like this old building and it had hundreds of rooms. Well, probably not hundreds, but it felt like hundreds. And you would get lost. And that was what made it so fun, because you'd just be lost and it would just be you and one other person in this room. And so you'd have to talk to them. And like you ended up like all the rooms where like DJs were all looked the same but on different floors. So you'd expect to be going into one floor and then it was a different one and a different crowd and a different set of dancing. It was so bizarre.
Because it could be like a field, and if it's the right atmosphere of people, it would be amazing. You know what I mean? There could be like no setup whatsoever, and it could still be like create an amazing atmosphere. And I think that boils down to like the people and what like the reason that everyone's kind of gathered there.
And also you can feel it like physically as well if you're actually there. Like whether it's even if it's too loud, there's definitely something that's like special about it, because you're kind of, I don't know, in a different senses are heightened.
Yeah, it's like the music envelops your entire body, and like you so just like melt into it completely, like just become one with it, you know.
I guess you could say it's like an important outlet. It's a way of letting off steam for people. It's something that's just so different. There's probably an element of carnival to it, and that is like, it is this complete, it's just such a different environment. There's normally a lot of people taking drugs and stuff like that, so it's not like just walking down the street or like going to like a normal interaction in a coffee shop. There's some element of just like, it's different, and I think that is appealing to people.
Before we'd gone, I think we'd had one beer, that was it, so we were completely sober, and it was wild in there. And it was like, it was such an amazing experience because everybody's energy levels were up enough that nothing else was needed.
That sounds really cool. I don't know if some people are like, oh, you have to be on drugs to like dance for hours on certain types of music like techno, but I don't really think so, not necessarily, because it can just be like, it's like exercise, it's like doing yoga, you know. It can just be really for me it's like really therapeutic.
If it is like about the drugs, like I think it can be such a safe space and like so open and accepting anyway that it really doesn't matter like I don't know what you're taking or anything. Saying that, like I've had like pure out of body experiences like on Manti in like waves and stuff, and like literally just like floating like way like 20 feet above my body in like this massive venue, and like I don't know, crazy man.
It's not rootless. Each of these cultures, there's a tradition to it, and people are invested in that tradition, and they're invested in each other. Like, you know the kind of conversations you're gonna have, and I mean that doesn't make it boring. It's just like the way that little subculture is. It's quite nice. Yeah.
I reckon like music, sound, anything, like any kind of band you go and see, I think sometimes it's certain type, well obviously it's certain types of music at different times, but I think everybody will have some kind of music that they'd be into and maybe they're just not exposed to it enough, because someone could go see a classical orchestra or whatever and be moved in kind of the same way we are with different types of music. So I think it's more just people should find some kind of musical outlet, because I think it is so important, regardless of what it is.
Yeah, I think it definitely does influence identity as well, because, I don't know, I guess you do go to places that you kind of feel like you fit in, or places that you want to fit into, kind of, in terms of just the things that people will even be talking about, you know, like, there's a difference between the conversations you could have in like one bar and the conversations that you'd have in a different bar with a different setting and different types of people.
Go to kind of turn up with some mates, not really knowing what to expect, not really knowing much about the music, and then you kind of go in and the bass just fucking hits you like a steam train and just knocks over by it. And it's a kind of, and that feeling of like the power of the sound completely around you, surrounding you, is phenomenal. And it's just, I think that and it, talking about music is, clubbing is like a drug in itself, and like dancing is a drug. That is like, when you get hit by sound like that, and it's making, and you're dancing to it, and you kind of like in conversation with it almost as you're dancing, and it's just the most incredible experience. It's like very visceral, because like you can actually feel the bass hitting you, you know, as you dance, and it's something very special. I think it's something that more people should try out.
I want to go out now.
I know, me too.
I want to go on a rave.